Starborn of the Apocalypse, a role that Starborn and those ascending to be Starborn can find themselves in, and will eventually find themselves affecting the wider unity around them. This theory is going to be proposed by me as a niche consumer, which I detailed more in my game review about Starfield found on the channel. With this exercise of improv's rule of yes and, I will delve deeper into the inconsistencies of the Starfield lore. Though in this video, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of the circumstances and applications of this theory. I'm just going to present you with the theory itself and the baseline assumptions. The theory of Starborn of the Apocalypse will be more fanciful and artistic in nature than analytical. With its leading evidence found at the end sequence of the game, therefore I will say there will be spoilers in this video, and if you're not comfortable with that, you can stop the video right here. Alrighty, get your canisters of copium and join me in this application of the theory. Why did the Earth get decimated? After 100 years, we only have a handful of cities. Why are people not exploring the universe? These are some of the plentiful circumstances where the lore drops itself on the floor. Why are people more isolationist? Why are they scattered across the universe in little settlements? There are soft and hard influences put forth by this theory that can answer these questions, as well as these questions can be answered by uncircumstanced situations not put forth by the theory. Every action and its cause creates a relationship of cause and effect, and the environment where these cause and effect relationships happen really matter, as well as the point in which these changes take effect, and the crux of the theory of who has done these effects in the environment and at what point. And finally, the end total and gravity of this reaction's effects on the grand total dimensional environment that the game puts forth as the unity. The existence of cause and effect is a great proponent for an ever dynamic and changing universe and greater dimensional makeup. From atom to chemical reaction to complex life forms, we are presented that each one has a general ability to affect the universe and dimension in which it inhabits. But also we are presented with the issue of free will, as some characters later in the game describe events in a linear fashion and not a fluid dynamic cause and effect relationships. Such as the hunter's reluctance to stop and interfere with the events unfolding before him, breaking tradition and standard protocol because he's experiencing something new. Does the micro action affect the macro environment? Does the macro environment affect the micro choices? Is the interference of interdimensional beings interfering with the natural cause and effect relationship in their environments? Or has destiny already accounted for these interference, therefore making free will not? But does this actually stomp and curve the existence of cause and effect if these situations are still happening because of the micro causes and effects? It all adds up and builds up, and painting a picture so eloquent that the bigger scope you put on it, the less knowledge and interference you yourself can understand. The concept and relationship between human or other life forms to the ungodly power of infinity and infinite choice is unsurmountable and unanswerable by myself in this video. But bringing it all back to understandable terms, this does not curve the existence of a cause and effect dynamic universe, as the crux of the issue is perception, and one's perception to reality entwines oneself to cause and effect. In the previous content, we did touch upon the environments in which these cause and effects happen. One starts in their own universe, but then is presented with their own dimension, and then multiple dimensions that even add up to a greater universal environment that is the unity. Yet I must stress that we are never presented with a definitive term of what the unity is. For now, I am just using the term unity to encompass the greater dimensional environment that we find ourselves in. You and me have a perceptible environment and an unperceptible environment that we can make up or remember that we have been there. Presently, you or me most likely only have one location in the universe and dimension we find ourselves in. This location that one finds themselves in is most likely the only environment that is perceivable to themselves. Yet, there will always be different ways to transcend the perceivable, whether it be a microscope, which you can see the tiny, telescope, which you can see the far, movement to another location, or even being in a coma where your perceivable environment might only be what you can conceivably perceive inside your head. Yet one's ability to interact with a dynamic universe in dimension is not hampered by only your perceptive environment. Be it a missile you sent away from your perception, a bill you passed as a politician affecting your constituents, or even someone remembering what you've done to them in a faraway location, or even right beside you. And you most likely would never know they had these thoughts in their mental perception. So you have your location, distance locations like space, planets, stars, then it goes to galaxies, and then your universe, then your dimension. Yet, some of these distant locations are only theoretical, as the makeup and structures of their locations and their placement in the greater context is not widely known. For instance, galaxies' positions in our universe was not completely understood, as the theory of gravity demanded that these structures be molded into a different shape, until the recent developments of dark matter existing and having some type of relationship with the organization of our universe. In contrast, we do not have a perceivable theory on the placement of different dimensions related to one each other. Even universes is more tenuous. As what draws the line between a dimension and a universe? Are these words interchangeable, or are there multiple universes in one dimension? With the statements of the hunter, we also realize that some of the dimensions follow a linear cause and effect. Yet, do we take his word on it that he's actually experienced every single cause-effect in the greater dimensional environment? Personally, I believe the hunter is just apathetic to the circumstances he finds himself in that are not favorable to his power-seeking nature of ever-changing things. Because how are you supposed to hold power over something that is not dynamic or continually changing? While one could rationale that power is power over anything, I believe the hunter is not looking at it like this. He is seeking another way to fulfill his void of power. So the hunter's cause and effect relationship with the dimension he finds himself in is relative to his location in that dimension, as seen by the hunter's ritualistic nature of hitting the points of interest in a dimension where he believes is the easiest way to the unity. Although the hunter might be correct that they have experienced anything, as it is an assumption that the dimensions are infinite. We are only presented with the notion and gravity that our situation and the cycle is ever ending in infinite choices of cause and effects, and environments are all happening at the same time and not at all. In total, the perceptible environment leads to the location they are in, and the locations go deeper and deeper until we get the dimensional relationship in the greater unity. We have the context of environments and the cause and effect relationships that can happen in these environments. Yet we have only touched upon the linear or fluid nature that can occur in the unity. For some that this theory will touch upon, the timeline and points of interest start from their present location and end location of the unity. For example, each time the hunter completes the unity and the cycle, we are unaware where he begins in the timeline. But we do know that he has points of interest in his cause and effect relationship with the environment, such as hitting Constellation and stealing all their artifacts, in a confrontational or murderous manner. Not all cause and effect by interdimensional beings have to be in direct relation to the artifacts. While the choice of the Starborn that gave humanity on Earth the gravity drive is unknown in relation to the artifacts, what is known is that linear event on this timeline ends Earth's atmosphere, therefore destroying its habitability for humans. For the player, completing the cycle has put them at the same moment each time, though the points of interest in that dimension have changed, if at all. The cycle being an individual gathering all the artifacts, building the armillary, and going to the Unity to be reborn into another dimension. We players are reborn roughly at the same spot of the timeline each time we transcend into the Unity. This makes it so we can never save Earth or influence it. Earth is forever void of life for the player, for us. Some of us have started a ritualistic behavior, just as the hunter. We have set out certain points in a timeline that reliably gets us into the Unity to transcend once again. I would call the decimation of Earth by Starborn a soft factor, while the transcendence of a Starborn in the Unity as a hard factor. Some interdimensional beings have a big soft factor in a dimension they inhabit, while others have low soft factors but a high hard factor. The existence of soft and hard factors create further points in which the cause and effects happen in the given environment. Yet, interdimensional beings are not the only ones that can affect soft and hard factors. As seen by the ease some individuals of that dimension can take apart and demolish interdimensional beings. As the cycle does not encompass an environment's total cause and effects, this is just a microcosm of the limited scope our theory is portraying, as the possibilities of cause and effect in its environment is theoretically endless. Therefore, an entity's direct relationship with cause and effect in a relationship is usually dictated by the point of interests that they are looking for. These points of interests can be endless depending on the scope the onlooker is looking at. In the preceding content, we'll narrow our scope to individuals that have direct cause and effect with the environment in relationship to soft and hard factors. These individuals, as you or I may be, are interdimensional beings known as Starborn. A big focal point of Starborn is the cycle. The cycle being, as previously referred to, as the race to gather all the artifacts, create the armillary, and be reborn in the Unity. Though there are some circumstances and motivation of some Starborn to partake in the cycle, interrupt the cycle, or not even partake in it at all. The lingering questions are pervasive. Who are the Starborn? Are they all humanoids? Where was the beginning point of the Starborn? When did the cycle begin? If you partake in the cycle, you know that it's a bloodbath, that there's shaky alliances, and in total, there is no greater society that I have encountered as my time as a Starborn. There are temples around the galaxy. Whether they are ruined or this is their natural state, these structures house the artifacts to begin with. Now, most of the surface level structures have had the artifacts scattered around the galaxy. Is this evidence that you and me have started the cycle halfway through? That we are not participating at the start of the cycle? And what would that entail? It's not clear that if normal inhabitants of the dimension, or specifically Starborn or Starborn candidates, can travel to these temples and gain supernatural powers. I personally travel as much as possible to these temples, though I have run into an issue lately where every temple I've run into, I've reached the max level of power my body can intake. Therefore, my goal is slightly aligned with the hunter, where I'm seeking to increase my body to its full potential. I have to repeatedly do the cycle and hope that the temples have the powers which I seek. It does seem like each temple has a random power in each dimension I travel to. The list of soft factors I have done are endless. Some I'm proud of, some I'm not. But at the end of the day, it's the hard factors that I truly want to focus on. Through research, conversation, or if you've been able to complete the cycle, you know that you leave a piece of yourself behind. I don't know who's listening to this. Maybe you're the player, a version of myself, where our journey started on Vectera. But just know this. It's odd that we're all different. That we all have the possibility to be extremely different from one another. And that's where I get into the crux of this theory, the hard factors. I don't have any definitive proof, but it seems like the cycle continues and continues. I've never gotten a straight answer from anyone. For some reason, nobody wants to tell I or us the plain, simple answers. A hard factor is what you leave behind. The essence that is split from you and scattered across the dimension you are leaving behind. Imagine one Starborn leaving a piece behind, 100, 1,000. What kind of consequences are there to a dimension that is just being repeated by the same people that have the same cycle over and over? Maybe this is the conclusion the emissaries have gotten to, but they're not telling me shit. So what is a Starborn? An endless adventurer completing the cycle until they grow apathetic, greedy, or lose all hope and motivation and retire in the dimension they choose or are stuck in. Can they die? Can we die? So let's bring it all together. Cause and effect is surmountable. You might get stuck in the scope of things. The environments are maybe endless. All that matters is you're affecting the one you're in. Each cause and effect on a certain environment has focal points which can create rituals. By who? By the Starborn, interdimensional beings. And it might not only be the Starborn, there might be other entities out there. What is true is those seeking to gather the artifacts and create the armillary can be reborn as a Starborn. But every cause and effect they've done in their dimension or dimensions other has a soft impact. Every conversation you had with a person, every murder, every love, you've had a soft factor. Then there's reaching the unity and being reborn, causing a hard factor to occur. A little piece of yourself to be left behind and radiate throughout that dimension. Its consequences not completely known. But this theory, the theory of the Starborn of the Apocalypse, is surmountable, and I will explain it here. The theory says that a Starborn does radiate their essence into the universe that they're leaving. The stronger the Starborn is, the greater the impact into that dimension. Imagine a Starborn that has been reborn 1,000,000 times, that is apathetic to exploration, is reborn countless times, and their essence is just radiated like a disease into the dimension they're leaving. Theoretically, there are powerful entities out there, be it Starborn or demons, which makes the emissary's goal more understandable. The hunter not seeming so bad after all. At least, the one we know. Because their philosophy of infinite power, of thirst for it, could lead to this theoretical Starborn of the Apocalypse. Whatever dimension they leave as a corpse, a desolate place for humanity to struggle or even cease to exist. This is the theory I present to you. Spread it, look at it whichever way you want. Just know that everything has a cause and effect. that maybe what you're leaving behind in the past dimension isn't worth it. But I can't stop you, can I now? Or maybe I've stopped you countless times. We'll yet to see. Just listen to me, like I drank the Kool-Aid. Well, I can't wait to delve deeper and explore scenarios with this theory. So subscribe, like the video, maybe make your own video utilizing this theory. I would love to see it. I'll put my X down in the comments if you ever want to tweet at me your video that you made or your written response. Also make a comment seeing how you like the theory also.